All ready? Okay, there you go. We'll call this the Hughson City Council meeting to order for Monday, July 12th. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Buchanan, absent and excused. Councilmember Rush.
Here.
Councilmember Buck.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill.
Here.
Mayor Carr.
Here. Please rise for the flag salute. Okay.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we come before you in this time and we pray that you would be amongst us as we share and discuss, and that you would give us patience, that you would help us to listen, give us wisdom, and that we would be able to lead Hughson and this area down the road that you have set before us. Thank you for each person here. Pray that you would guide the meeting tonight. Amen.
Amen.
Members of the audience may address the city council on any item of interest to the public pertaining to the city, and may step to the podium, state their name and city of residence for the record, and make their presentation. Please limit presentations to 5 minutes, since the city council cannot take action on matters not on the agenda unless the action is authorized by section 54954.2 of the government code. Items of concern which are not urgent in nature can be resolved more expeditiously by completing and submitting to the city clerk a citizen's request form, which may be obtained from the city clerk. You have anything else you'd like to speak? Okay, thank you. Moving on. We have our presentation, Opportunity Status Loss Economic Development Strategy Plan. Mr. David White.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Members of council, Ms. Mayhew, it's a great honor to be here today and to talk about the next 5 years for economic development in the county and the region. And so this marks almost my 8th year being in Stanislaus County. And I tell you, as I get older and get aware of the county and get to know the people, it really has become home for us. We really love it here, my wife and I, and we love Hughson. It's a great community, and you guys should be very proud. It's a very nice place to live. So Opportunity Stanislaus, just going back in time, when I came here in 2014, we were called the Stanislaus Economic Development and Workforce Alliance. Our board was the Workforce Investment Board, and we were this quasi-public-private entity. Actually, if you turn the slide,
There's a little clicker right there for you.
Oh, great, thank you. Yeah, hold the time just right.
There you go.
Okay. Whoops, I did it too many times. Back up just a little bit. Okay. So when I came here in 2014, we were this quasi-public-private entity. We were a Brown Act board. Bud knows this quite well. And we were, as a result, we didn't have a lot of private sector companies, a lot of the local companies really involved in the organization. And in 2016, when it came time to do a new 5-year campaign and plan, one of the things we recognized is that we need more influence from the private sector. So what we did is we separated from the county. We created a brand new organization called Opportunity Stanislaus, and it was a 501c3. And we, as a result of that, and we went ahead and did our campaign, we were able to bring over 110 businesses into the organization to support economic development in the county. And what we did with the cities and the county is we entered into an MOU with each city and the county to make sure that we were offering services and working together with our public sector as well. We're going to be making some announcements in the future and even to provide even more support for the public sector. But I can't announce that today because we have to go through some iterations with our board. But as a result, we have this very vibrant organization. And the chairman of our board is Dylan Olvera, who's the CEO of Beardland. Vice chairman is Susan Hensley, who's the VP of Workforce at E&J Gallo Winery. And so a lot of the big companies are involved, but a lot of the small companies are involved too. Even some companies right around here in Hughson, like Victor Martino from Bella Viva Orchards, and like Hughson Nut, and some other companies that are in this area. And when we formed that new organization, we took on a new program of work that was actually kind of dictated to us by our investors. We call them investors because they should expect a return on investment. They should get something out of what they are giving us as an organization. So now we have a private sector driven organization. We have a lot of wind at our back, and we're entering into a new 5 years. So today, what I'm going to do is talk to you about what the plan is for the future. So we, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, actually, we hired Strategic Solutions out of Austin, Texas, to work with us as a consultant to drive our 5-year plan and 5-year campaign. They've been very successful around the country. All three of the main three consultants worked in economic development. In fact, 2 of them here in California. So we hired them again to lead our campaign, our plan this year. And so what they do as an organization, Strategic Solutions, is not only do they do the campaign, but they help to organize the plan. And the first phase of that plan is to conduct about 100 interviews with businesses, government leaders, and other parties and other partners in the county to find out how is the organization doing, what are the needs in economic development, what should the organization be focused on. And we also have some questions about COVID, about going forward, because we know the pandemic has drastically altered the way we do business here in our county and throughout the country. So their track record is they've done over 100 of these type of plans throughout the United States. And it's not a plan where you have 30 different initiatives and there's no way to possibly do all of them. It's a very focused plan with 4 or 5 initiatives that we will be responsible for, where the target is on our back, that we were going to lead. And that way we're not trying to boil the ocean, we're trying to really be specific and focus on those most critical needs in our community. And then there are other organizations that would take up other responsibilities. And then, so the 5-year plan, the first phase is that discovery phase. And then they came back in July or June, and they actually gave a report to our board of directors to give the results. What they found was that 80% of our investors had received some kind of direct benefit, direct ROI as part of the organization, which for them was off the charts. They usually it's about 40 to 50%, but in our case it was 80%. So one thing that we really work hard at is taking care of the companies that are investing in our organization. So then the next phase is to create the case statement, which we're working on right now. The case statement will lay out the plan, what we're going to do for the next 5 years. And then the campaign will start in August, where we're going to go out and meet with all these companies and raise the money for the next 5 years for us to be engaged in the initiatives which we're going to lead. And so your role in this is you're an investor as a city. So we're going to come and talk with you about the next 5 years for the city of Hughson. We'll do that sometime in August or September. And we're going to talk about what we need to do to really help the economy prosper here locally in Hughson. And so that's really what your role. And we'd love to not just have Mary there, but some on council. Mary would like to be part of that, but we would love to do that. So I mentioned our 6-year history, the quasi-public organization. I mentioned opportunity status loss, how we became private sector led. We created the 5-year plan, 2016 to 2020. We achieved strong execution results. This last year, I'm so proud of my staff, and it's really my staff. I tell my staff all the time that I'm the biggest goof off, and I would be the first one voted off the island if this were Survivor in our company. But we have great staff, and I think some of you know some of our staff members. But this last year, we had really stretched goals right in the middle of the pandemic. And we were able to achieve every single one of our goals except for one. And the one that we didn't achieve, we didn't have any control over it because we had to shut down our training center, Holt Institute, for a number of months because of the pandemic. But I was really proud. And our staff, we jumped in right at the very when the pandemic hit. we had a website up in 24 hours to provide relief and support to businesses that have been affected. We had, right now we're doing a campaign because the employers are telling us they can't get people to come back to work. People are not returning and they're really kind of desperate because they need employees. So we started a campaign called the Hiring Head Start with a number of employers to try to encourage people to go back to work. And already we've had 300 people that have logged in and applied for work just within a couple of weeks. So that's what we do. We listen to local business, we find out what their challenges are, and then we go to work and we try to provide solutions and help to them. And so we also run, you probably are aware, we also operate the Small Business Development Center, which is called Valley Sierra SBDC. We have 30 consultants who are experts in their field, who provide technical assistance to business, any business, small businesses. And when COVID hit, you can imagine the kind of demand that placed on us. Businesses were desperate. They needed cash, they needed help, they needed to understand how to be safe for their employees and their customers. So this last year, we've really gone to work to provide a lot of solutions for that. But if you know of businesses that need help, they just call me. We'll get them engaged with our SBDC. So, like I said, we did almost 100 interviews, 94 interviews, and we found out some really important things. You know, here in Stanislaus County, we actually performed better during the pandemic than Orange County did. You know why? Because we don't have dependence on hospitality and tourism that some of the counties in California have. We have a lot of essential industries here that remained open and remained operative during the pandemic. And also, I'm very proud of our county. We did a better job at responding than most counties in California. The way we came together, the cash assistance that was provided, the way we handled the deliverance of the vaccines and the education we provided. We did the Good to Go program, which taught people how to safely open their stores and their businesses. It was just a phenomenal thing to see how everybody came together during the pandemic. So, as I mentioned, 57% said they had specific ROI. Another 23% said that they saw general ROI from all the things that we did, for a total of about 80% total ROI. On May 24th, the board approved the 5-year plan and the new campaign. And now we're working on the case statement. And we're going to begin fundraising in August. So what's in the new plan? Well, one thing about fundraising, some axioms, it never ends. So we're always doing that. And they're investors, not donors. And what's really great about our plan is it's all about accountability. It's about results. It's not about activities. So we have SMART goals. We have goals about number of jobs. We worked on the big Amazon project that's landing in Turlock. Have you heard about that? That's going to be about 1,500 jobs in Turlock. And we're working on projects right now that hopefully will be announced in the next couple of months. We also, with Volt Institute, we're trying to get as many students through that as possible. One of our new initiatives is what's called Volt on the Go, which we'll have equipment that we can take to a company work site, and they don't have to drive to Modesto to get the training. They can do it right here in Hughson. So that's the next iteration of Volt. And then you have to show there's ROI. So there's some really important axioms about fundraising. For the new plan status, so this is what we're going to focus on. I said 4, we're going to do 5. We're going to lead 5 initiatives. We're going to expand Volt Institute. So right now, if you don't know what Volt Institute is, and by the way, this was not in our previous case statement. This came after we produced our plan. E&J Gallo Winery came to us and said, hey, would you guys start a training center? Because they just hired a guy from Boeing, from Seattle, who was instrumental in getting a training center established up there for Boeing and Boeing suppliers. And so we went to work and we established Volt Institute in 1 year. We had our first graduating class in 2017, where we trained advanced manufacturing skills. So just to give you an idea, when we started Volt, there were 200 open, unfilled positions for maintenance mechanics. A maintenance mechanic can start at $60,000, and in a few years can be a double-digit or 6-figure type jobs. And we had 200 open unfilled positions. It's crazy. And then you add electricians to that and advanced techs. I mean, you can see the picture. So since Volt started in 2017, we've graduated 100 students. And we've been able to get those students out there and supporting businesses like Hughson Nut, like Pacific Southwest Container, Gallo, and Foster Farms. So we're going to expand Volt. We're actually going to be adding a program called Mechatronics, which is all the robotics and the automation, really the advanced type stuff. We're adding an electrical program. We're adding a process controls program. And then I mentioned Volt on the Go, which we'll be able to take down to more or to other places around the county. And then the second is to lead business-driven talent development. We're not calling it workforce, we're calling it talent. And what we've learned is, yeah, we have issues with hard skills, but we also have major issues with soft skills. Showing up to work on time, being able to communicate, being able to lead a team. We also have issues where companies don't know the latest practices. How do I onboard employees correctly? How do I retain my workforce? And COVID has turned that upside down because now employees can work from home. You can literally live anywhere in the world and work for a certain company. And even some of our local companies are doing it. So our businesses have to be savvy. They have to know they can't operate like it's the 1970s anymore. We're going to improve economic vitality. You know, when we announced in our board meeting that Amazon was coming to Turlock, there was kind of a ho-hum response to that. 1,500 jobs. And there was like, oh, okay. But the reason for that is because it's the stuff we've always got. What we're seeing now is we want more and we want better. We want better jobs. We want higher paying jobs. We want to diversify our industry. So we're going to be focusing more on high tech. We're going to be focusing more on research and development, trying to change our industry mix to make it more diverse. And when that happens with a diversified industry base, then you're much more, you're not as vulnerable to a recession than if you had all your eggs in one basket. So and then the other thing we're focusing on is not just attracting high-end jobs, but attracting high-end, really exciting stuff, like a new children's museum. Maybe it's a new wine and food experience, or maybe it's a zoo or whoever, who knows. But we need to have more things that families can do so they don't have to go to San Francisco Hills all the time. They can spend time here with their families. So and then the other thing we're focusing on is not just attracting high-end jobs, but attracting high-end, really exciting stuff, like a new children's museum. Maybe it's a new wine and food experience, or maybe it's a zoo or whoever, who knows. But we need to have more things that families can do so they don't have to go to San Francisco Hills all the time. They can our kids and our grandkids to stay here. And so that's part of why we're going for more quality. And then for a local business. So that's really about the SBDC. But what we're doing with the SBDC is not just serving business, we want to help businesses scale. There might be a really great restaurant in Hughson that's very scalable, which means that they could take their concept and build another one, and build a third one, a fourth one, and actually move out of the county and have all sorts of franchises. Every single business like McDonald's or Burger, they started as a single entity and then they expanded. And if we can scale some of our businesses, what that means is it brings more dollars into our county. And then finally, we're really taking a leap here, driving public policy and advocacy. And I'm very careful about the word advocacy because we're not going to endorse candidates. We're not going to endorse parties. What we are going to do is we're going to stand up and speak out on important business climate issues. And it's gotten to the point where we need to do that. Right now, I'm part of a coalition called the Greater Bay Area Mega Region Alliance, and it's made up of economic organizations all throughout Northern California. We're going on the offensive. We're playing football. We're on the offensive side, and we're trying to propose things that are going to help California, help businesses stay here. We also started what's called the New California Coalition of all sorts of business organizations throughout the state to, again, go on the offensive, stop playing defense. So that's what we're going to do. One of the things we're going to have is what we call a CEO roundtable, made up of CEOs from Gallo, Foster Farms, and these companies to meet together and discuss policy issues. There might be something you want to get done in Hughson. Maybe it's a new road, or maybe it's some kind of asset. You need support from the county. Well, we want to support you by bringing the private sector to the table to be a partner in these important public policy decisions. And these are just some deliverables we're looking at as part of these initiatives. We're starting what's called the Northern San Joaquin Economic Research Institute, partnering with the San Joaquin Partnership. So we're going to be doing studies and proactively doing data research to support important public policy decisions. So when the water issue comes up again, instead of trying to respond to the water board, we're going to be ready to go. We're going to have research done in advance so that we can counter whatever comes from Sacramento. And I mentioned the CEO roundtable. We're working, there's a broader strategic planning process that's being led by the Stanislaus Community Foundation. We're part of that. And out of that process, we're going to get a game changer type project that will be something that will attract dollars and attention and visitors here. We're going to be involved in that and partnering with other organizations. And then also initiating better messaging. We put $50,000 in our marketing budget next year just for messaging. We have a leadership council as part of this process made up of leaders in the public and private sector. They're meeting on in fact, we have a meeting on Wednesday. They're our sounding board. They're helping us push important decisions forward. And we'll be meeting with them from now until the end of the campaign. Gallo, Foster Farms, Stanislaus Food Products, the county, the city of Modesto. I'm just trying to think, all 3 hospitals. So it's all really the major business leaders in our community. Well, this is, that slide should not be there. But that's from this is from a different PowerPoint. I should have taken that one out. I apologize. So anyway, that's the end of the presentation, but I hope it gave you a sense on where we are going as an organization. We're getting to the next level, and we're taking on some things that 6 years ago we weren't capable of doing. But now with the wind at our back and with the resources, we're going to be able to do a lot more. So thank you for your time, and I'd like to entertain any questions.
Any questions from council?
I've been listening to David 8-10 years now. The guy is fantastic. He's the shell answer man. You got a question, got a problem, go see him. If he doesn't know it, he'll send you to whoever does have the answer. And I can still remember about 4 or 5 years ago, he came to an economic development meeting. And he was talking about somebody building a 1 million square foot warehouse out in the industrial area. And I said, well, who's going to move in there? Well, we don't know yet. We're building it on speculation. That's not done very often.
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take to fill it?
Oh, about 8 months.
I mean, a lot of money was invested in putting that thing together.
One of our biggest problems right now is we don't have industrial space. That's a huge problem. And we need space like there is no tomorrow. And housing.
That's true with us also, the office spaces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big problem. Well, I want to just say, I'm going to embarrass Mary, but she is fantastic. And she knows economic development. I've gotten to know her, and you're very lucky to have her as the city manager because she gets it. And we have a great relationship, and right now we're working on that dairy. So trying to, I know there's some movement going on there. And we're looking forward to other opportunities going forward in the city of Houston.
Very good report.
Thank you. Well, thank you. It's always an honor. And anytime you need anything, just give me a holler and we'll get right on it.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
To consent calendar, are there any items that would like to be pulled from the consent calendar?
Like full 3.8, 3.9.
Any other items? Hearing none, I will move that we accept the consent calendars. Items 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, 3.5, 3.6, and 3.7 as is.
Second.
Councilmember Rush.
Aye.
Councilmember Buck.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill.
Aye.
Mayor Carr.
Aye. Okay, Councilmember Rush, 3.8.
We got it. 8. I'm sorry. It was just 3.9, 8, and 3.8.
Okay.
Can we just accept that? Okay, is my mistake.
Do you want to just do a vote real quick for 3.8?
I'll move that we accept consent calendar item 3.8 as is.
Oops, second.
Councilmember Rush.
Aye.
Councilmember Buck.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill.
Aye.
Mayor Carr.
Aye. 3.9A.
I apologize. On the first contract that we had through JSWWC, how long was that first contract? Do you know?
How long have we worked with?
No, how long? I think we've only had one contract with them. How long was that contract?
I don't, yeah, I don't believe we've ever had a written agreement with them, so that's what we're doing now.
Okay, so we just had an agreement before, and now we're doing an actual contract?
Yes,
Okay. On this one, is there a percentage increase annually written into this one?
no,
No. How long will this one be?
we didn't put a termination date in this. We've been using him since, I believe, 2014, and so we expect to continue using him as a consultant out at the wastewater treatment plant and in the, for the water system.
Okay, don't get me wrong, I mean, he does a fine job, his company does a fine job. I just wanted to know if, you know, on normal contract, you would see an expiration date. You know, would it be 3 to 5, or 3 years and 5 years, or a couple of years, you know, expansion?
It would depend on the relationship itself. For instance, you have a contract with New Miller and Beardsley, but you don't have an expiration date simply because of the nature of the services that we're providing. I believe that is the type of relationship that JSWWC has with the city of Houston and has. It's just we're memorializing it.
That's more than the idea of an MOU, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess you could look at it that way. And if they want to change their rate, they have to come back and ask.
Okay. I just thought it would be more beneficial to them to actually have an actual year figure, and then what they, just like we have with Sheltons and any other of our services that provide for us. But it was just a curiosity thing. And that's all I had. I think they do a fine job. And on the meter project, do we have a time frame for the start and finish on that?
Yes, council member, we have a 60-day timeframe to finish the entire city. The issue that we're running into is the backlog of getting the product in. There's such a demand for that type of system because it's the latest and greatest that Badger, which is the big company, is having trouble filling the chips for the cellular signal for that type of meter. So they're only allowing cities to order 1,000 at a time at 30 to 60 days apart per order. We've placed our order for 1,000, so we're just waiting on a confirmation for delivery. The contractor that Jared's company, KW Consulting,
Yeah.
they can get it done 60 days if we had them all here. The issue is getting them here. There's a shipping delay, just like, you know, the construction project, things and parts and put them together and get them to the customers.
Okay, have we ordered any meters yet?
We did place an order for 1,000, about 2.5 weeks. I have not received confirmation of shipping or estimated delivery yet. That's what we're waiting on. We do receive them in small numbers for stuff that we need to do 20, 30 here. We'll get those in 2 to 3 weeks, but the bulk order takes longer to process, and that's the issue that we're.
Okay, thank you. Are the, on the meters, when we put them active, are we gonna, because of the time frame, we're gonna do half the town? And then just put them into the billing process through the meter program, the radio meter program? The new one, or are we gonna just open the whole town, like a book at the end of it, when all of them are in and complete?
As they're putting them in, we'll be entering them into billing. So we have, I think you said 180 so far that have been installed, so we're doing it as the meter registers are going in, we're putting it in billing,
Okay, so the answer is yes, that they're,
opening it up.
as soon as they're installed, they go into the system and they're getting billed for it.
Yes, Councilmember, they're fully operational from the day that we get the service ticket to install. We have that information over to administration. Within 24 hours, they've entered it, and it's already working in the system. They can access it through an app, and they pull the billing as many times as they need to pull it, or get the reads automatically real.
Okay, so how is this working out with accuracy? I know we had issues even though they were Badger meters, but how is it working out with accuracy? And any complaints with these so far?
No complaints at all. They're direct. Customers can set up teams for potential leaks. If they have questions, they can see them trending. You no longer have to pull history. They get it at a touch of a fingertip. But now everything is.
Validated with that it's being effective, and then it's going in soon. You know, I was really thinking a year, but 60 to 90 days. I mean,
Yeah,
Meters are not cheap, but they're gonna save us money in the long run.
a lot of time and money. Yeah.
that's all I have. Just a bunch of questions.
Thank you very much. Dan, voting on this, do we need to take them items A and B, or can it be voted on as one item, 3.9?
You can do it as one item or separate, some choice.
I will move that we accept consent calendar item 3.9, both items A and B. Second.
Councilmember Rush.
Aye.
Councilmember Buck.
All right.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill.
Aye.
Mayor Carr.
All right. Moving on to comments, city manager.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Public health continues to hold vaccine clinics here in our senior center, and our next clinic is scheduled for July 15th. In addition, we have a blood drive scheduled at the senior center on July 22nd. And I believe I mentioned this at the last meeting, that on July 26th, we're going to be restarting our economic development meetings. Just a quick update on the property tax sharing project. There's a small group of city managers that are working with the county on the issue of property tax sharing. And as it stands now, any changes would only affect areas that are being annexed into the city. So it's not really going to affect Hughson at this point, but it could in the future. And then one last update is on our RAD card program. Stands for Relief Across Downtown. The city of Hughson was allocated $50,000 in RAD dollars that came from the CARES Act funds. And that full allocation has been used and matched with $50,000 of residents' funds. And some residents have spent more than the, more funds than they get matched for. So there's an additional amount of money that's being used in that program. And so far, our businesses have received a total of $86,650 through that program. And that's all I have.
Steve, 50,000, is that in addition to what they already have, or is that already there that they're now able to spend, or they've already received it?
The CARES Act funds are there, and then as you purchase $100,
Mhm.
then the $100 gets matched. So it's all been used. The 100,000 has been spent.
It's been.
Yes.
Okay, so we can continue to go forward with it. Cool. Great program too. Okay. Deputy City Clerk.
I just wanted to provide a brief update regarding National Night Out. I sent an email to you all. You can also see that on our calendar for August 3rd. So the city, in coordination with the Sheriff's Department, is going to be facilitating that this year. Fortunately, we've only had about 6 hosts sign up, which is a much smaller number than 2019, the last time we participated. So if you guys are interested in joining the caravan, I know Councilmember Buck reached back out to me from your car. We're more than likely just gonna have one large caravan. But it'll still be a great event and serve its purpose. If anyone else wants to join, let me know, please.
And you're still coordinating with the fire department, correct?
Yes, fire also.
Okay, thank you very much. Community Development Director.
Council. I have not much to report. We're just wrapping up some agreements and reporting through the different programs we have for roads. And the federal fiscal year is coming up in September, so I'm sure they'll have more stuff for us then. We continue to work on Walker, getting that ready to go. And then we have we talked about I mentioned the per capita grant last time, to improve the park, the Bright. And great, and it's gonna give us about 175,000. We are going to get a restroom, ADA parking to go with that as required, and then a camera, a security camera, which would be not necessarily manned, but would go to the sheriff. So that's the only people who would see that, as far as I understand it. We have met with the 2 different football teams. We waiting to hear back from the baseball. And we are having a Parks and Rec meeting tomorrow at 6 to update them as well. And then the following night, Wednesday at 6, we're having a community meeting here. And so that's been noticed out on social media. And we're just open for input as is required as part of that grant process.
Thank you. One question on that. With the parks money, doing the restroom, which is badly needed, and I understand all the requirements, is the amount that we're being funded going to be used entirely on the restroom, or is there going to be some left over?
It will be used entirely on what we need. So for example, it's the restroom and the ADA and the camera, if there's any left over, it'll go back into the park. Yeah, it's not gonna, but is there something specific you're thinking?
Well, yeah, the driveways at Strong Park. Ever since the park was put in, those driveways have been, to me, a mess. I mean, I hear cars scraping all the time. They were put in quickly, they're just not correct. And if there's any money that we can use from that to get those fixed, I would deeply appreciate looking into that.
Okay, I'll look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we had talked about that previously, and after talking to Jose, we were looking at taking care of those during the Tully Road, when they put in the sewer line in Tully Road.
Okay.
And we resurfaced Tully Road.
Okay.
To take care of it at that time.
That'll work.
So I understand that the new building that we're talking about is both a restroom and a snack bar.
It may be. So we are looking at the different types that they have, those costs, how it sets about. And then if it does, contain that concession stand, we will notice that out right away.
Thank you very much.
One other. On the football teams for the Lee Ride that just brought it up, when you said it, is that community meeting, it'll be between those two, or is it just baseball, football?
Everybody's invited.
That marriage always hasn't been the best. So are they all in agreement with who's going to share the fields this year? Or who gets?
Well, I have this wonderful city manager who deals with that.
Is there not an agreement? Maybe no, I think we have.
Anything will be.
They're working together. Councilman, they are working together. They do have, each of them have like a schedule right now that they are using different fields. And so we haven't gotten any pushback about this, at least from the football teams. It's just, they're like, yes, we need a restroom. That's about it. That's what we.
That's good. I'm just worried about that community meeting. From my feedback, they're not in agreement.
Mhm.
So, I'll probably attend.
Director of Finance.
Mayor and council, I have no items of mention since our last meeting.
Thank you very much. Police Service.
Good evening, everybody. Fidel Landeros, Chief of Police. I'm going to be reporting on the time period of June 10th through June 23rd. During that time, the deputies had a total of 9 traffic stops, no subject stops, 4 citations, and 3 arrests. There was no notable arrests during that time worth speaking about during the council. We do have some independent investigations occurring. I will like to mention that during the July 4th holiday, the deputies issued 7 administrative citations for illegal fireworks. One of those residents was a repeat offender, so the fine gets doubled. And I know that city is processing those as we speak. So that's all I have for now.
Thank you very much. City Attorney.
Nothing, sir.
Thank you very much. Council comments. We'll start with Councilmember Rutt.
No, sir.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Buck.
Since our last meeting, I had another West Turlock Basin GSA meeting. There's a lot going on with this right now. The biggest thing right now is we approved a bid to begin monitoring well placements throughout the West Turlock Basin. And then these are being put in place to monitor wells on certain landowners' property. And we'll be able to track the aquifers and movements and that type of thing over the next few years and ongoing, because this is a 50-year sustainability plan that we're putting in place. So there was a lot of discussion about that at the meeting. They've also put on the turlockgroundwater.org website draft chapters 1, 2, and 4 of the GSA. It's open to public comment if you're interested about water and what's happening with, especially in the midst of a drought. But this is very interesting stuff, and they'll take public comments. So if you have questions, look at it when you have time.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Hill. No. Thank you very much. I have nothing, but I do want to reiterate on Ashton's National Night Out. If you can be there, if you can participate, come on out. It's a great time. It's neat to go around and see all the different parties that people are putting on, but it still goes back to the underlying reason it's there. It is to build partnerships, not only between neighborhood members, but between the city and citizens, as well as citizens and law enforcement. That is how it got started. And it's just one of those things that unless you see it in person, you really can't understand the benefit. But once you're there the first time, you will want to come back. So if you can, join in and come and have a good time that night. With that, I believe we are going into closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The mayor and the council are adjourning into closed session regarding action items 9.1 and 9.2. Facts and circumstances regarding action item 9.1 are as follows. The city has received a claim from a Samuel Anderson, regarding allegations of dealings with a county sheriff's officer in September 28th, 2020. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Villager?
Okay. Thank you, Mayor, council members. Council has reconvened from closed session regarding action items 9.1 and 9.2. All the members of the council were present during the entirety of the closed session, with the exception of Council Member Bawanan, who was absent tonight. There's no reportable action at this time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'll accept a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Juanan, absent. Councilmember Rush.
Aye.
Councilmember Buck,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill,
Aye.
Mayor Carter.
Aye, we are adjourned.
That's all.
We need to let Aaron.